soon you know, given that I show up in all of our publications and you saw me walking across the bridge this morning, I am Dr. Diane Lynch, the president of Stevens College. It is my pride and joy to be able to say that. It is also my absolute honor to welcome all of you, all of our alumni, back to your home here at Stevens, and to thank you for joining me in celebrating today the phenomenal Stevens alumnae, who will be recognized today. Not surprisingly, they epitomize, and I'm really glad the students are here. Yeah, that's right. Not surprisingly, our award winners epitomize what it means to be Stevens. They have pursued their dreams and through outstanding work, ambition, persistence, and resilience, have achieved remarkable success in their professions and in their communities. And they have given back over and over and over to those professions and communities, and yes, to the world alma mater. I start with the Alumni Service Award. The Alumni Service Award is presented each year to recognize individuals who have achieved an exceptional level of commitment and contribution to the college. So many of our alumni dedicate so much time and talent, and yes, treasure, to the college. But there are those of us among us, there are those among us who truly have dedicated a lifetime of service to the college. This year's award goes to, and is a family affair. It recognizes the decades of contributions of a couple that found the love of their lives at Okoboji, each other. And who says that what happens at Okoboji stays there? Amy, please join me in recognizing your students. This year's Jean Penzelshaw Alumni Service Award contribution today. Judy is the sister, or Bob's brother, of Judy's sister, Bob Dolan, one of our most beloved here at Hamilton. And for benefits, he's still with us. He did retire sort of, but I'm going to keep bringing him back. I'd like to ask Bob and Judy's sister, Mary Lee, to stand and be recognized. Committed to the college and say yes first, which is my favorite mantra, to every opportunity and possibility to serve students, and you have never stopped asking. As was the enrollment, Mark and Judy have both achieved extraordinary professional success in one of the most competitive industries in the world, Hollywood. That experience and professional insight is, of course, invaluable to our theater students. Yes, they're all everyone. Yes. Whatever student has the opportunity to get an audition advice from the senior vice president of casting at Disney. The woman who brought the world Miley Cyrus, Zac Efron, Selena Gomez, Vanessa Hudgens, and Olivia Rodrigo, just to name a few. If you don't know who those are, you will not be paying attention to what they're and what others do not have is to put them on stage with an actor whose credits include some of the most renowned and popular television They're both movie stars in their own right, and they're esteemed stars in their own rights. Always willing to share their home as hosts to students and students, their time. I cannot begin to tell you the endless hours of phone conversations and texts and emails that this man engaged with me during as the board chair. Mark was the board chair. It's a 3-year term. It was COVID. So we did it for another year. The endless hours of time, effort, energy, attention. Literally, we would have a conversation. I would call him, then I would talk nonstop for an hour or more, and he would go, yeah, yeah, right? And I was happy that you all opened up enormous to have gratitude because we got through COVID. And a lot of it was because your president had a soundboard who was always there. And Judy, who gave out Sunday afternoons with her husband, who was on the phone with me, listening to me talk about Stephen's college. And then had to listen to it over and over as he iterated and reiterated. So, endless time. Gratitude forever. Their talent. Through our multiple performances in the world, Jamie and Rob, Odd Couple, oh my God, killer. Let others as well. Through Judy's representation of students, the William Broken Neighbor Center, leadership, webinar, series. They're incredibly valuable and substantive theater intensives. Rigorous and highly professional acting workshops. They travel to campus to present to our students. And yes, their vision and big ideas say yes first. While starting a co-ed conservatory for the Alumnae arts. I was in favor of the fairness to me, but during COVID I had a few other things to think about, and without exception, Mark would say, so, what do you think about the conservatory? Like a little bit of a nay, about that to bring it to my priorities for achievement. And yes, they're right. Mark and Judy have been on college's most faithful, generous members. But she comes also back to the generosity extends to meeting the needs of students large and small. And I give you so many things, but let me give you just one. This week, no, last week, Mark texted me and said, ever heard of a birdie? Like, choo, 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 and then a birdie. And I was like, that's not bad. I have a birdie is a personal alarm system that I have in my daughter had one of. And it's a really wonderful little device that you pull the hook off of in a moment of threat. And it makes the loudest shrieking noise on the planet. And it has a strobe light. And he said, I think we should give one of these to every one of the undergraduates on campus. I was like, do you? Do you think that? He's like, yes, I do. And I was like, I think that's a great idea. And so, Mark and Judy purchased birdies for every one of our undergraduate students who will receive one on the way out of convocation today, or have to come up to the office of my house to get one, and it didn't come to convocation. But it's just such an example of gifts, large and small, and the care that they have for every one of our students. So, yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stevens Alum Weekend. My name is Rob Doyen, and I was very fortunate to attend Stevens in 1967. I spent 2 years on this wonderful campus, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that those 2 years changed my life, set me in the direction that I needed to go. I had a wonderful experience here in those 2 years. Got the best education I could ever have imagined, and met such wonderful people, many of them still friends to this day. So I graduated in 1969. And since I had such a wonderful time here on Stevens campus, my younger sister, Judy Dorian Taylor, was searching around for colleges that she wanted to attend. So I suggested, let me correct that. I didn't suggest. I told Judy, you need to go to Stevens. That's the place you need to be. She came to Stevens, had a wonderful career here. Of course, when she first arrived, since it was just a year or so after I had graduated, everybody was saying, oh, you must be Rob's sister. Hey, this is Judy, Rob's sister. Judy graduated. Met Mark Taylor while she was here. A year or so after they graduated, they got married, moved to LA. Judy, right away, both of their careers just started immediately. And in the first few years, as they were out there a few years, Judy was into the casting business. Mark was playing a leading role in a series. Judy was casting big movies. And then I came back to Stevens in the middle 1980s to teach full time. And of course, then people were looking at me and they were saying, oh, you must be Judy's brother. Hey, this is Judy. You know Judy Taylor? This guy knows Judy Taylor. So everything comes back around, right, Judy?
Well, she was, of course, for many years was the head of casting at Disney, and has single-handedly discovered 3 generations of the best and brightest talent from there. I can't, so many, I wouldn't even know where to start to name them, but that's quite a legacy to identify young talent. People forget that Britney Spears and Ryan Gosling and everybody else came out of, being a Disney kid.
Mark always made it to the meetings, no matter what. He was committed. He spent an extra year as chair because of the pandemic. And Mark had a very unique take on leadership and inclusion with the entire board.
I really think that, along with other people, he is really responsible now for turning the school into a conservatory, the theater wing of Stevens.
Mark has served as a Stevens trustee for the past 12 years and was chair of the board from 2018 through 2022. The Taylors are quick to note that while doing all of the above, Judy and Mark raised 2 amazing young men, Ben and Daniel, which without question is their most prized accomplishment of all.
With that success, they always gave back to Stevens.
Mark and Judy Taylor, I had heard their names before, just off and on during my times at Stevens, but I had never met them before. So whenever they came to visit us at Stevens in the fall last year, I was a little nervous because I had read up about them and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are very reputable and they know what they're talking about. But whenever we first met them, they were so kind and so humble, and again, you could just see their passion for what they were talking about and what they were doing and everything they had done in their career so far. They were just really amazing to me, and they were really awesome.
It was just really great to have people who know what they're doing and who have gone through it all to interact with and show us the ropes. It was great to have 2 people with such expertise in the whole field, from casting to actually being on screen.
They're really a team, they're a pair, and my husband and I are both also in the industry, and so seeing them and their longevity and their sustainability is a really nice thing, and they're really a guiding light for the rest of us who are in that same situation. It's a lot of fun to get to watch them work together so well.
They left Stevens, but they always took Stevens with them. It's wonderful the way they contribute, as many of our own do, but we're recognizing Judy and Mark at this year, and I couldn't be prouder of them both.
Congratulations to Mark and Judy Taylor. the 2023 Jean Clinton Rochelop Class of 1944 Alumni Service Award recipients.
How's this? Can you hear me good? Okay. All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you to Stevens College for honoring us with the Alumni Service Award. I mean, it truly means so much to us, and we are so delighted to be with all of you today. You know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Mark and I graduated 50 years ago, and we just celebrated Sheila, I still can't. Here we are, right? But looking back, I'm often reminded what an incredible chapter in my life, my time at Stevens, was for me. A lot happened. And there is no doubt in my mind that my experience here played a pivotal role in preparing me for future opportunities and truly setting up for success. From the education I received, the community of women I was lucky to be a part of, it instilled me with confidence and the courage to dream big. And as if that wasn't enough, I left here with loyal friends and the best of my lifetime. Not to mention the love of my life, the Sam, who would become my husband, and together we would have two wonderful sons. So in what universe would one not want to give back to a place that shaped our lives in such an impactful way? I have to say, my time spent coming back here since graduating and having the opportunity to spend quality time with the other students and talk about the ins and outs of Hollywood and the particulars of audition and casting process. It was the most gratifying and rewarding time
time I received, the training I received here, a lifetime of friends, and meeting an amazing woman I've been married to 49 years, this Jim. Stevens quickly became, and it cemented itself as a cornerstone for running my life. Not many men get to say that. Then came Stevens' attitude, and later, the my back of Cody twice, I am mentioned, and decided getting through 2 plays there, which was just thrilling. I did 2 plays, both with my beloved brother-in-law, Rob Wayne, where we did live together, which was an experience that I'll never forget. And Rob will always be my husband. Then President Lynch invited me to join the board. And I chaired the board thanks to my fellow trustees, some of which are here, Alyssa, Ellen, Mary Jane, and they elected me to be board chair. I had to snicker with Ellen's sweet interview because Ellen was my vice chair, and poor Ellen had to suffer through my lack of interest in parliamentary procedure. She got that's what she said, my own style. Anyway, I knew there was somebody else. Ann Murphy, the current chair of the board, and my fellow Texans. My time on the board was just beyond belief. And I will never forget it. It was a job I didn't ever consider and one that I've always cherished. Working with Diane Lynch in the background. Her dedication, 24-hour, 7 days of work ethic, and her constant forward-looking vision. It was like going to graduate school of leadership. The small but mighty senior staff is a band of multitasking superheroes. Literally, you would not believe how many jobs these people do and do them. And my fellow board members. My fellow board members were an inspiration throughout the 4 years. The board, our board, your board, is made up primarily of women. And they are truly an example of what can really be accomplished when people who are diverse in so many ways put their own opinions aside, their own political opinions, or religious opinions, whatever they may be, for the common good of an institution they care about. What a great idea. Somebody should have a government like that, shouldn't they? The Stevens board makes that work. They inspire me constantly. And in fact, they inspired me so much that I will tell you that I sat there very often, looking around, listening to them solve some very complicated issues, and thinking to myself, what a better world this would be to maybe a few more women. So that's my last gift I will tell you about this Stevens Gate. You were looking at one of my there should be more. So thank you. Thank you for the award.
You are the best sense of humor. Okay. It is now my absolute privilege and pleasure to present the Alumnae Achievement Award for 2023. The Alumnae Achievement Award is presented each year in recognition of an individual whose talent, intellect, work ethic, and personal integrity have propelled them to the pinnacle of their profession. The award pays tribute not just to success, though we celebrate that, but to the character and qualities, the 10 ideals qualities, reflected by the recipients, continuing connections with and commitment to others in their home, in their communities, other in their profession and students. It is my honor this year to recognize and bless you as our 2023 Alumnae Achievement Award recipients. That reputation for professionalism, grace, and intellect precedes and follows her in everything she does. It's bolstered and informed by the highest of personal and professional standards, and Stephen's board assumption that she can do anything, and so she does. That combination of strength and talents propelled Lou's life and career paths to incredible impact, achievement, and reputation, a track record, influence, and success that truly elevated the organizations and institutions of which she was a part. It's a long list, but that record includes leadership roles in philanthropic, nonprofit, and government organizations that include the National Symphony, Friends of the U.S. Army, the Salvation Army, the American Red Cross, Congressional Honor Society, Common Sense Media Trust for the National Mall, John Marshall Memorial Park Foundation, Points of Life Foundation, the Monuments Men Foundation, the Preservation of the Park, the U.S. Department of Transportation, USAID, and I'm telling you what, I could give you another list that long. I hope you're not thinking, but wait, you forgot, because there's the list is extraordinary. Quote, for me, we're talking about it. Lyndon Webster has an incomparable ability to coach and connect clients with thought leaders and decision makers at the highest levels of business and government. Her ability to create strategic partnerships between nonprofit and for-profit organizations comes from a wide-ranging experience as a business and community leader. We have a video that highlights some of the icons and accomplishments of Lou's career, a tribute to Jack Moore and more than a decade ago. We taught him by example and
who has connected her clients with thought leaders and decision makers at the highest levels of business and government, both domestically and abroad. Her ability to create strategic partnerships between nonprofit and for-profit organizations comes from her wide-ranging experience as a business and community leader. Ms. Webster is skilled in managing a wide range of events, from nonprofit gatherings to precisely timed events of heads of state and other high-level business executives, politicians, and senior government officials. Her exposure to the international community began in 1984, when she became open director of sales for the historic Willard Intercontinental Hotel in Washington, D.C. Throughout the hotel career, she was often the hotel's point person for official and non-official government visits by heads of state or royalty. Ms. Webster gained insight into the specific needs of VIPs as the spouse of a senior government official, Jones William Webster. She was privileged to attend numerous high-level events and ceremonies at the White House, State Department, Pentagon, CIA, FBI, embassies, and countless other venues in the U.S. and abroad. Through her travels with Judge Webster on official government visits, she gained valuable understanding into how many countries hosted diplomatic and secret government guests. In 1995, Ms. Webster founded the Webster Group, initially to support the work of important nonprofit organizations such as Save the Children, American Red Cross, and numerous other U.S. and international organizations.
Everything Linda did, she was public-oriented. She was very, very concerned about other people and wanting to make a difference in helping people's lives, either medical or, well, for instance, saving the children, fundraising and what have you, to help that wonderful organization.
2 decades later, TWG has expanded to work locally and has planned and produced over 800 events, including memorial dedications, commissioning ceremonies, major stage productions, conferences, and board meetings, and has orchestrated many beautiful and financial successful fundraising gatherings. Ms. Webster earned her Master of International Management from the American Graduate School of International Management, a Master of Business degree from Southern Methodist University. She has a certificate of study from the University in Spain, and a Bachelor of Arts from his college. She had so many leadership roles. She was able to build relationships and form connections that lasted a lifetime. And I think she probably learned that she was always a natural networker. I think students helped her learn her ability to build relationships and to leverage those relationships to do work, do things, to build things. She's certainly done that throughout her career.
That Linda has made get to the point where she is the Alumnae Achievement Award winner through a business side, but then also have this alumni side. I think is telling of how much Stevens College meant her into her as we move forward.
Such an incredible example of how Stevens women have been able to achieve their goals in life for close to 200 years, and I look forward to the next 100 years of additional women achieving the kind of success Linda achieved. Congratulations to Linda C. Webster, the 2023 Alumnae Achievement Award recipient.
When it was time to look at colleges and universities, my parents were very helpful because, frankly, these are not a college. Dad had done an obituary school, but I was not going to do that. But the suggestion of students kept popping up into our conversation. Reason? Back in the 1950s, my mother aspired to be a Stevens student, but her divorced mother did not afford her tuition. So, 20 years later, when I got my Stevens acceptance letter, I came home crying harder than I did. And I'm sorry she's not here today. She's long gone, but I think she lives in spirit. I must confess, I don't think I've even told my husband this, I must confess, I later learned that Mom and Dad had ulterior motives. Let's just say that I was a bit of a tomboy, eschewing dolls and horses and baseball items for ballet. My parents remembered that Stevens had been finishing school of sorts, and they knew their little girl had a few rough edges. It's an understatement. Well, Stevens had long removed Etiquette 101 from the curriculum by the time I arrived, but the professors and the students I encountered etched into me countless lessons, including the Stevens ideals which later were formulated more formally. They altered my life and made confidence for everyone. I was a student of the Searcy program and was challenged academically by outstanding professors like my advisor Jim Serkey, and some of you I know were in the Serkey hour before this event. And as you know from the experience with Jim Serkey, it was an incredible experience in which I'm forever grateful. My hometown of Boone, Illinois was hardly the center of the arts world, but thanks to people like Professor Serkey, I learned to appreciate the humanities, the creative things that make us human. Another wise professor, and since I was spending too much time in the books, he told me, I would rather you get a B in my class and pass life than you get an A out of my class in this life. Now, how often does a colored professor tell you that? But it is incredible advice that resonated with me the rest of my life. The person who probably struck the best balance in his field was my professor of Spanish, Tommy Shank. Anybody have Tommy Shank? Well, she recognized my interest in all things international and encouraged me to enroll in a program
the